Cut that out.
And we're live.
Wow.
Now we're live
Hey.
again. What the hell? Alex, really? This is becoming severely awful.
I wish I could help you. I just click go.
Okay, anyways. Welcome everyone to another Gamer Den video podcast. My name is Sean Kopp. I am also known as the Sean Z Online. With us this week is still a motley crew of the Gamer Den. With us this week we have Miles Eshanique, who is probably my internet best friend, and also my internet nemesis at the same time.
Hey, I'm Moriarty to your Sherlock.
There you go. There you go. And that's giving me more credit than I'm due. Also, we have Alex, because a video game group would not be complete without a good Asian.
That's acceptable, Sean. I'll accept that.
All right, acceptable. And also, California wouldn't be complete without an Asian and a Mexican. So, well, okay. Anyways, that was a stretch and slight racial
Should
slur.
have waited for the Crawfords to be on here to say that.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. Are the Crawfords racist? No, I'm just. Is that like a thing? Is that like a thing for? Okay.
No,
Anyway,
they're
if you're. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Very good. I didn't know that. Well, that's good. Shout out to you, Mehiz.
Maggie's all right.
Mehiz. And then also we have.
Off the rails right off the bat.
That's right. And then also tonight we have Christopher Kopp, who I love like a brother because he is my brother, and I hate him like a brother because he is my brother. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good. Good.
Good. Just got back from Orlando,
Yep.
land of glory,
Yeah.
Land of Oars, I think.
land of
As a
whores.
Kind of
No,
Land.
that'd be Horlando.
Yeah.
Oh, Orlando.
So
Alright,
there
I
has
thought
to
it
be a
was.
lot of boats too.
Well, I
No,
mean,
see,
speaking that
Mom and Dad-
Orlando's.
Mom and Dad were like, "Do you want to go to Orlando?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then we got there, and I was like, "Oh, they said Orlando," and I was just kind of riding out the
Oh.
next 2 days. With
Yeah, a little disappointed. Yeah.
I was thinking that since you get a lot of tourism in Orlando, maybe you just get all of the nasty gals like visiting there. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, and honestly, I saw like the worst tattoos in my life ever.
You know what
But-
I've been thinking about tattoos is I've seen more like middle-aged women now with tattoos, and it's just like, see, that's the reason. That's like you don't look good with tattoos when you're older. I mean, no offense, Chris, but I mean, I think guys look all right with tattoos, especially when they mean something, and especially like if you're gonna pop something on that has like a legacy, whether it be like a legacy of like like Latin or in your case, what was it? It was Greek symbols.
Greek is here.
Greek
There we go.
symbol for logos, right? Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay,
I
and
mean,
then
it's
also
partially about upkeep. People just get them and then not take care of them, and they end up just being like, "What's up, Miles? Are you raising your hand?"
Miles, you have a
Miles wants
tattoo.
to say something.
So I'm gonna tattoo YOLO, right? And that's.
Oh, mine looks like it says YOLO if you hold it like upside down in the mirror, like almost.
Nice,
Oh,
nice.
it's
That's
like
pretty
it twists
good.
the right way, but see, you can get it. It's like upside down here. Y O
I got the
L O.
yellow.
If you
Oh,
did a
nice.
permanent marker on there, you could really fool people. And then the last one looks like a Z, so you could say I pluralize YOLO because I'm gonna be around for that long.
You mean you're gonna be around once?
Yeah, I don't really work that
You
one
only
out in my
live
head, sorry.
once, twice.
Okay, would you ever get
Nice,
a gaming
that's-
related tattoo?
Well,
Okay.
Christopher already has.
Okay, you are vetoed and filibustered.
That
Here's
means
the
you have to
thing.
keep talking, Miles.
I'm good at that.
Like, here's the thing with tattoos is I feel like it needs to be something that is why I've been hesitant to do it at this point is because I feel like it needs to be a tattoo that and the Crawfords maybe can have some input on this when they listen to it and talk to us, but because their sister is a tattoo artist,
Oh,
she
yes.
could probably tell us about some of the best and most meaningful tattoos, but it has to be something that's integral to your life. right? It needs to be something as worthwhile. And this isn't casting judgment on anybody that like just gets tattoos because it's cool. Also, I also think that like people that get tattoos that are like artwork, like sleeves or something up the chest, I think that's really cool as well. But I just think you can't half-ass it. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing that bugs me with tattoos is like when somebody's just like I should get a tattoo, and then it's like and then it's completely half-assed. The only time that I've ever thought about getting a tattoo is I thought about getting a tattoo after I went running with the bulls.
Oh yes.
To like always remind me that like
A bull is one step behind.
yeah, well it's that like I do consider that like from that point to every moment that I've had on this earth is probably a gift in some way because I probably shouldn't have made that out alive. But anyways, on from tattoos. Oh, as far no, if you were to get a gaming tattoo, I think that's actually a good point. Miles, what do you think? Gaming tattoo, what would you get?
Well, first, back to like women having tattoos versus guys. I think that women just they go through a lot of changes as they age and have babies and whatnot. So I think that only contributes to the.
No, but even like the tattoo that I saw that made me think about it was just a girl's tattoo on a leg. That was like she was maybe a little over 40.
Hmm.
But I was like, that's like anytime you wear capris, that'll
Yes.
be there.
Uh-huh. I just
And
I would it yeah. I think if I were ever to get if I was ever to get a tattoo, I think I would get a Triforce probably.
yeah,
Yes.
it's pretty good.
Just it's simple enough. It's
Yeah.
not an intricate design that could like get really blotchy over the years. So I think I would go with a Triforce or like a
Plus the
Tetris piece or something.
Plus, well, I think the Triforce, especially like in many different cultures and many different religions, has different things you can draw away from it. So even if you were to like change your mind about like, oh, this isn't gaming, this is the Trinity, or like this is like the elements or something, even though there's four elements, like there's like
There's
there
a
is
fourth
the
triangle in the middle, isn't there? You just have to color
right,
them in.
exactly, yeah. So that's air, obviously. Uh, but
Or night if you're black. I'm
right.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Or night if you're well, no. Even if you're blind, the night is always black. Okay. Anyways, I don't know, Alex. If you were to get a gaming tattoo, what do you think it might be?
I have no idea what I would get.
Coming back to you, Chris. You already have a gaming tattoo. If you were to
I
get another
do.
gaming tattoo, what would it be?
I've thought about Triforce before, honestly, but I decided against it because I don't know, it was kind of common.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not stylized enough as well.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I have the one. Like I kind of don't want to get another gaming studio because I already have. I mean, I have the one which is for those you haven't seen it. It's the eye from WoW. I've considered actually getting the other eye, like this is like the Dalaran elect. There's like another older version, the Arcane elect, on the other shoulder. But I've kind of just I think it's a little unnecessary. We'll see how it goes. What do you think about other games that I would actually, you know what? I would get something Pokemon related, but a little classier than just a
Yeah.
random Pokemon. I've seen some really cool Pokemon designs, but I haven't really decided like, oh, that's something I really want my body forever. So, but that's more likely, like, because probably the two gaming franchises I spent the most time on and the most interested in are World of Warcraft and Pokemon. So, I have one. I'd probably get the other at some point. Um, One of the things I've noticed, being I guess the only one here who has tattoos, unless Alex has one I don't know about, but
Nope.
no, is that like I've got three, and I mean the first one I thought about for a while, and I got a second one I got like 2 months after. It's just a little symbol like right on my chest here. It's kind of almost a joke online it was, but like I really liked the kind of sentiment behind it, and it's like a grammatical thing. And I found that if there's any of the three that I regret, sort of, it would be that one. But at the same time, like it's just become so much a part of me already. Like just every time I look in the mirror and I see it, it's like it's not something that's like, oh no, why did I do that? It's something that's just like, oh yeah, that's there now. Like that's just part of my body. So I think as long as you don't get something that's really, really stupid, like I've seen some terrible tattoos.
Oh
Some
yeah.
stupid decisions. then for the most part you don't like you kind of end up living with it and not really like hating it. Like it's just kind of there. But one of the reasons that I haven't done anything like super artsy or super colorful is that the more you get, the more upkeep it is, and the more complicated it is to keep it looking good. Like I've got mine are all just black on the skin and pretty easy like
It
geometric
seems the
design.
most. Actually that for the more simplistic designs, I think that that's actually the most attractive. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
unless you're gonna go full color. I mean, and it's on any skin. Like you look at like the tribal tattoos, which I think like most of them look really hideous and don't seem to mean anything. But like the Hawaiian tribal tattoos that are more traditional, like those are just black on whatever skin color it is,
yeah,
I think that they look really nice.
Yeah, I would
Uh,
only do something really polygonal, like kind of 8-bit maybe, some kind of 8-bit rendering of something, but I don't think it'll ever happen. Maybe a seagull. I don't.
see, yeah, I want to get a turtle maybe at some point, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know like what I'd get if I were to pick one. I think that it might be Zelda related because I feel like that has the most continuity and it's so iconic and
yeah,
plus it will last for generations as an icon of gaming and I don't really want like a Mario uh tattoo.
yeah.
I like the more fantastical stuff. If I mean maybe something involving the Master Sword being in the,
Yes.
planted in the rock. I think that might be pretty cool. Because you also have sort of the Excalibur theme going on with
Yeah.
the heroic pulling of the sword. I don't know, Alex, have you thought of anything yet?
I have. In fact, I've thought of probably a Bioshock Vigor, like the
Ooh,
pros.
love it.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. I think the one thing when it comes to these gaming tattoos, and it'll be interesting if we actually go to PAX this year, like to ask people maybe to see their, if we notice a gaming tattoo, like if we can see it and reflect on it. Like for me, like gaming, like I don't see it as like an integral, like it is part of who I am, absolutely. I don't see it as like my life might change when I hit 40 and maybe gaming no longer becomes a priority for me and no longer an integral part of my life and also something that like maybe I just don't I don't know
Care
like
for?
I don't want to no I mean like I'll always care for gaming. I'll always care for playing games and using my imagination and being in these fantastical worlds but is it something that um, will be the highlight of my life that I want to be on my body. Like
Yeah.
maybe I just haven't had like for example the Eye of Dollar on like I haven't had that investment in one single game where I would want to implant it upon myself, but um, I think that something Zelda related, even if it were just like the Goron Ruby or something like that. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
something like that might be really cool. But it would need to have a more universal and more like a bigger umbrella on the meaning of what that is to me as an adult. Um,
That's one of the reasons I chose the eye because it's not just like from WoW. It's like inspired by the Egyptian Eye of Horus, like or like the third eye even. It
yeah.
has connotations of
Oh, good thing you
like
didn't get it on your forehead.
yeah, that's
I was thinking something
the connotations of
That
like
is the third
intellect and
eye.
truth and just protection, things like that. So it's something that it's not solely tied. That's one of the reasons that I'm okay with that. But the first one especially was not solely tied to just the video game that the design came from.
Well, and that's one
Um,
of the things that I find fascinating as more of a lore guy and more of like a story-driven guy as far as WoW is how much of the like the lore and the symbols in the game and the cultures, how much more of that is more universal rather than singular in
mhm.
that, like this is stuff that's just driven from fantasy in general and what I like especially about like as an English major about the about sort of the fantasy realm is how like these are the things that make me curious is how everything ties together like what is the universal understanding of the knight? What is the universal understanding of the paladin or the mage? Rather than singular in that game is the sort of like what does the Commonwealth understand about that role, you know?
Hmm.
And these are the kind of things that I think about maybe like with tattoos is like rather than what just it means to you, what does it mean to everyone?
Like
I don't know.
outwardly.
Yeah, yeah, like what are the universal understandings? I think that's really interesting. But all right, enough about tattoo. Oh,
One more.
Miles.
I would get a tattoo of the blue shell from Mario Kart, because then any one of my like rivals would be like, they would always know I'm coming for you,
Uh,
you son
or
of a beach.
or you'd always consider yourself in first.
No, I'd always consider myself in last, because I always have to have that on my person. I wouldn't
Okay.
use it to get myself. It's like,
But you'd never use it to for your gain?
no, it's like a ace in the hole, isn't it?
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, what if it was like a temporary tattoo that you could actually like transfer onto somebody, and you could be
So
like, "Oh yeah, now
someone
you're."
at work is like getting a promotion, you're like fist
Like,
bump, it just like goes out your arm to them. You're like,
exactly.
ha, my
Yeah,
promotion.
yeah.
No, that or a bottle with the pink fairy from Link or Legend of Zelda. So
Oh
like
yeah.
Well, hold on.
revive.
Hold on. Even would it not be the case that if you got YOLO and then also that, I mean, they'd be kind of like combating against each other because as soon as you die in Zelda, like the pink fairy's out and it's like, hey, no YOLO for you.
It's like, hey, listen, it's trying to wake you up. You're like, I already YOLO'd, bitch.
I'm dead.
Back in the bottle. No, okay, so that was mine.
Okay. Anyways, so that was a good discussion. I'm happy to have that kind of stuff. So I want to do quickly story of the week, which has become a stolen tradition on the Gamer Den podcast. What does everyone think the story of the week is? And this time, I'm happy to go first, unless one of you guys would rather take it away. Um, to sort of change the format here.
You go.
All right, so it's all me first. I think that the story of the week is absolutely um, Xbox One. Microsoft is declaring that it will be releasing an Xbox One at $399 without a Kinect. Um,
June 14th.
and yeah, and that is pretty incredible to me because I am an owner of an Xbox One. I want to pull up the story here actually, because this was the reason that a lot of people between the PS4 and the Xbox One coming out really close to each other decided to go with the. Are you guys getting this commercial that I have on the website? Sorry.
What
It's an
was?
audio thing. It's sorry, it's just an audio
Oh
thing.
no, not hearing the
Okay.
feedback.
All right. Just wanted to make sure. Um, I'm on a news website, so I was getting a little stuff in my ear. I think I think that Xbox One versus PS4 at launch, like, absolutely persuaded a lot of people that just wanted a next gen console to just go straight for the PS4. Like, absolutely. And we have friends, we have people in the GamerNet podcast. Everyone knows somebody that bought a PS4 even though they had an Xbox beforehand, a 360 or an Xbox. Like, they went for the PS4 because money is money. Like, $500 versus $400 is a big deal when
Hmm.
you're committing to a new console. Absolutely. Um, and so I think that Xbox One, basically what they did is they charged people an extra $100 to include the Kinect. That's what they were banking on, and then they didn't follow up with any like really like realistic um, or substantial games to use that Xbox with, rather than navigation of the UI. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on this move by Xbox as far as like versus launch? I do want to go into what this means, or at least what I think it means for the current console market. But what are your guys' thoughts on the launch between the two systems?
I think that Microsoft probably missed the boat. Um, I mean, it's just like too little, too late. There was so much hubbub about that Connect, and well, first was the online connectivity being a requirement, and then
That
it
was
was
the big
like,
thing I heard.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it was, well, the Connect always has to be on, and everyone was up in arms about that. So I think I just don't, I don't know. I don't think that it
As
might be
far as
like,
that goes, Miles, like I do feel like there's enough people that were completely satisfied with their experience on Xbox 360 that now that Microsoft has basically bent to the consumer's every whim, like they'll be like, yeah, I'll buy an Xbox now, sure, like it's $399, it's the same price as PS4, and I like games on Xbox. Like I like the controller. The controller seems familiar. Both Miles and I own an Xbox One. It seems the controller is absolutely fantastic. Like besides, I mean, I still prefer it for most games rather than the PlayStation controller. Um,
you know, it's weird.
rather than the little shoulder buttons. But I mean, other than that, like
Yeah.
the shoulder buttons are a little extraneous. Like I don't know. What were you gonna say, Miles?
What I've decided, like, so I had the PlayStation 4. I got that at launch because I decided I was like, well, I'm just gonna go with that because I'm gonna Uncharted 4, Infamous 3, I guess technically.
Second serve.
Short term.
Yeah, I was like, well, I'm gonna get all those games of the franchises I kind of like, and there's nothing that really calling me. So I got that, and I was like, oh, well, I can dual purpose this controller for my computer. And I got a little Bluetooth adapter, and I had to run some wonky little drivers to get it to work with the DualShock 4 with the computer. But then I was running into issues with that, so I was like, you know what? I used some of my store credit at Best Buy and got Xbox 360 controller just for Windows. And
Far superior.
I
Far superior.
honestly don't. I could switch between controllers all day long because it's such a secondary like peripheral to me that I have no like ingrained preference. Doesn't matter to me. If you switch up my mouse or my keyboard though, I'm gonna have some problems.
Yeah.
But for me, the controller is not a huge selling point actually. But I haven't.
What about the Kinect?
The Kinect is real. I like the Kinect a lot more than I thought.
But what do you use it for?
I basically too lazy to get up and get the remote. No,
Xbox, pause.
no. Well, yeah. There's that. I usually, if I'm gonna watch something, I'm like Xbox on, and then I'll go to the bathroom, and then I'll say Xbox.
Xbox,
Netflix.
open Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. And
Right.
I'll be walking to kind of do. It's like hands free. It's a nice little.
It is cool. It does give you the like small sense that you're like living in the future. Like
Yeah.
I do like that. But as far as like for what it means for us as a hardcore gamer,
Absolutely nothing.
absolutely nothing. And so right now, like I mean, what I wanna say as far as like it seems a little contradictory, but um, Microsoft stated via Phil Spencer, who's the head of Xbox, he said that Kinect remains an important part of our vision. Quote, we will continue to innovate on Kinect. I think it's an important differentiator for us. I don't know. Like for me, it sounds like it sounds like they're trying a little bit too hard. I think that it's a little bit of smoke up everyone's asses. What do you guys think about that statement? We continue to innovate. We will continue to innovate on Kinect. I think it's an important differentiator for us. Have you guys had any? Have
I
you guys had any like strong memories using the Kinect?
Not even a little bit. I don't even know how to use. There'll be times when I'm in bed watching, and then like I'll do something like what, and then like a little hand will come up on the screen. I have no idea why that hand came up,
No,
but
that's happened
basically
for me a few times.
there's like little hand controls you can do, but I've like tried to like imitate it or redo it. It doesn't work. So I'm like,
No.
I don't know. But anyways, I think if I were to have a actual living room, that it would be different because then I could do stupid little like those dance games if I had like people over, which doesn't really.
who wanted to play those dance games?
They are
But
fun. I
instead
forgot
of
to
doing
heavy
the
beds.
dance games or doing like little like I don't know like Erin, my wife, has done Zumba on Kinect, and
Yeah.
she's liked that enough. I've liked it even more than she has. But no, not playing Zumba, just watching my wife do Zumba. Yeah.
Wink.
Um,
In yoga pants.
Usually, or even better, pajama pants. Um, but uh, but like I think there are certain advantages to it. But for Microsoft, who for most of us via the Xbox is a hardcore gaming console, we don't give a shit.
No.
Excuse my language.
I don't even think
We
of consoles as hardcore gaming anymore, honestly. In my mind,
Yeah, the PC is where it's at, but I mean, it's still you're gonna have people that want to play the FPSs. They want to play the Assassin's Creeds. They want to play the Infamous. These are hardcore games for a lot of the people since the Wii has come out.
yeah.
I mean, the Wii came out. That's the Wii for me. It's not a, and that'll get into my next story of the week. But it's tied for the first, but in that like the bridge between what consoles mean for hardcore gamers and what they mean for people who just buy consoles for entertainment, the bridge has blurred a little bit. Um, so I do want to talk about my secondary story of the week. Since we started a little earlier, I feel like we have time. Nintendo is basically saying that, hey, we screwed up. Like, we don't know what we're doing. Basically, they need to make this public statement to the masses because their shareholders and all their investors are really ticked off because they're losing money left and right. Um, if and I kind of like got this idea from a couple different podcasts that I was listening to. Um, Nintendo with the Wii U and even with the Wii, they're they want this console to be innovative, and especially with the Wii U, I feel like with the gamepad, they want it to be innovative, but there's not the software to direct that goal.
Yeah.
There's no killer apps, is what they call them.
I mean, the closest thing, from what I understand, even though I've only played it at a Target, was Zombie U.
Yep. That's the
And
one I
that
hear touted around too.
and the idea behind Zombie U was that you would play an adventure game, like you'd play sort of this Resident Evil game, but anytime you wanted to go to your inventory, the inventory could only be accessed on the gamepad. So you would literally be looking into your backpack, and time wouldn't stop in the game.
Yeah.
So you would need to make enough like distance between you and any zombies and be like, oh, I gotta switch this around, I gotta quit this. So that was really exciting to me. But Nintendo didn't make that game.
No.
Nintendo, you could have played arguably Super Mario Galaxy, which is a freaking killer game, on a Microsoft controller, on a Sony controller, and it probably would have been a better game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed. There's no functionality, and like, the tablet itself is just awkward. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a unwieldy thing. I
It's
was
not
ex
that comfortable even. It's
no.
On the Wii
better
U.
than you'd think, but it's still not. On the Wii U,
Well,
yeah.
and then Mario Kart 8. Apparently, I just read that the Mario Kart 8 is going to have the um, is going to have you using the Wii U pad, the gamepad, and you know what the screen is used for? It's a giant button that honks your horn.
Yeah.
What?
That is the
Well,
new
because they
Mario Kart.
can't. For multiplayer, they don't want to give the one person with the gamepad like extra functionality, but it's still just it's useless right now. I mean, it's just space between the controller.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The space between the controller is so awkward. The only like useful things I've seen it in is like any applications for it is the Nintendo Land. Even then, it's just like little gimmicky one-off mini game sort of
Hmm.
thing. So the novelty will wear off pretty quickly. I just what a miss. What a
What a
miss.
miss. An absolute miss. I think that Nintendo wants to innovate with the 3DS. They did innovate with the DS. I feel like the regular DS capitalized it. The 3DS is a solid system, and I really enjoy playing it from time to time. And I feel like the 3D is acceptable, like
Yeah.
as far as how games utilize it. It's enjoyable. They're not catering the games to the system though, and I feel like that's the same way. It was the same way with the Wii, and it was the same way. It is the same way with the Wii U. And so now Satoru Iwata is saying one game could change Wii U's fate, and
Yeah,
it's
go
like,
ahead.
and it's just like you know, like uh, they announced another operating loss at near $500 million.
$457 million.
Yep, yep, and so this losses like
Yeah.
they're trying to plug a hole in their boat with paper towels. and
Yeah.
and they're saying like we can make one game that could save the system. If
And we're
anybody
like,
can
let's
do
see
it,
it.
yeah, if anybody can do it, Nintendo can. But to be honest, like the way their games have been releasing, they're taking too damn long.
Exactly right. I think someone was it was on another podcast. They were talking about how Goat Simulator, for example, it started out kind of like a joke, and then eventually,
And then it started selling.
that's exactly right because they got it out like ahead of the attention span. It's like I feel like the attention span of people, if you don't just roll a product out, it's they're simply going to forget about it. The
No,
next
but
like
Nintendo's in a different area because they can take the time as long as they know what they're doing
yeah,
and
but
say
even
this is
then,
how the game's gonna work.
I just don't feel like so the problem there is like
It needs.
with the
Sorry, go ahead.
Wii and the Wii U, they've they've had these very unique control schemes with the motion and now with the gamepad. And the problem I think that they suffer from there is that they won't get any secondary sales out of it from the cross-platform because
Right,
the cross-platform guys had to think, how the hell are we going to integrate this damn tablet in here that's not in the minority of the
right,
console of the platforms we're developing for. So if they're sitting there like, well, I don't, why even release it? You know, like what's the
right.
point of releasing on there if we have to like take extra time to develop a unique control scheme for this
Yeah.
one market, which is really small compared to the others. So I just
It's an absolute mess. And to be honest, like I'm like as a guy who's played Nintendo games his whole life, I'm tired of like the Nintendo scheme and the Nintendo IPs have a very near and dear place in my heart. But honestly, I'm tired of all this crap. Like I'm tired of seeing Mario on a sports field. I'm tired of seeing Mario in a go-kart. I'm tired of all this like of seeing him in adventure. Like if I were to see Mario Brothers the movie in game format, I would be more excited with them kicking the crap out of turtles and stuff like that. Like that would be I need to see them go someplace that they haven't gone before because they are in that dire of straits. You see? If they had Mario Party MMO or something like that.
they just need to
At,
put a
at,
gun
at,
in Mario's
at this
hand.
point. Yeah, yeah, just bring it on. Just
I
just get
just
crazy. Just get
exactly
crazy.
right. Exactly right.
Because
Go for
because
broke.
it because it's at that point. And if not, if it doesn't work out, then you can start releasing Mario games on other systems.
Yeah.
Actually, I feel like Nintendo would probably go bankrupt before that happened.
Yeah, they're too prideful in my opinion.
One thing I wanted to say, like in wrap up, is that I found out today that is everyone familiar? They've seen it in stores, the whole Spyro Skylanders thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 years ago, Nintendo had this is how forward-thinking Nintendo is. 5 years ago, Nintendo had the option for 5-year exclusive rights Skylanders and to that sort of like that NFC figuring kind of thing, where like they would have a piece of hardware that read figurines and the figurines were collectible.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, I don't see that going anywhere.
Yeah,
And
they're
Skylander is like selling in the multi-millions.
yeah.
And so now, at this point, Nintendo's saying that we're gonna make an NFC thing. And so they're gonna have, Mario figurines, Peach figurines, Yoshi figurines, Samus figurines.
Yeah.
And my dog needs to go outside right now on a completely unrelated note. Take probably a giant dump. He's screaming at me. So I want to know what you guys think, and whenever I get back, we'll just call that conversation over, and we'll talk about the next story of the week. But I want to know what you guys think about Nintendo, those Nintendo meeting Skylander figurines, and I'll have Miles take over here. And go to someone else's story of the week if I don't get back quick enough. All right?
Okay.
Go for it.
Pressure is on. Chris, go.
Go about what? The Skylanders thing?
Yeah, would you buy Nintendo figures
Uh,
at all for any purpose?
I don't know, it depends how much they were. I'm not into microtransactions that much, so Skylanders, while it is kind of a cool idea, and that whole thing I heard about Nintendo, I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. If it was something like Super Smash Brothers, like five figures, and get something like that, I'd be all for that because I just can't resist it. But I'd have to see the game, like kind of what the game was first. If it was something I didn't really take seriously, I'm not going to spend my money on that stuff. But I kind of like it just because they have all these pre-established characters.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure, like, I mean, honestly, the Skylanders and Disney Infinity stuff always kind of struck me as a little more for kids, and it wasn't something that I'm like chomping at the bit at, So I'd see if Nintendo made it something I would actually like, but chances are, no, it's not something I'll be interested in.
Yeah, Sean and I had that conversation where like Skylanders it might be cool in theory, but it's like just too far removed from our age.
Mm-hmm.
But Nintendo, we get like a pass on. They might be juvenile like characters and whatnot, but we get a pass because it's like nostalgic to us. But Skylanders is some like new, it's like a new universe and new characters that we can't really claim we can't wave the little nostalgia flag and kind of be pardoned for it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Alex, any thoughts?
Probably same as what Chris was saying. I probably wouldn't buy any figurines. I know that my nephew has a bunch of figurines. Actually, my cousin now. And regardless, the Skylanders thing is too kiddie. And I think that what Nintendo wants to do, if they did have this kind of stuff, is probably, I hate to say, try and make something similar to Skylanders and not go back to like Link or any of the Super Smash Brothers characters, just because they want to try and capture they want to capture the younger audience and not us in particular. But yeah, it all depends on the game. You can have as many figurines as you want, and if the game's crap, nobody's gonna buy it.
Yeah.
Well, that very well may just be one of Nintendo's issues, is that their demographic has aged steadily, and they're not into those games. I mean, you kind of like have a certain franchise that you're tied to, and you like that throwback every 5 years maybe when they have a different iteration of the game. You come back to it, and you're like, oh, that's cool, but it's not like a consistent source of income for them. So maybe that's where they're stumbling. Is that we're into more grown-up things, I guess, to put it simply. We like IPs that are grittier and darker and more realistic, and they have cussing and violence and sex and drama and all that stuff that we're like experiencing. So maybe that's where, their core demographic was when they were in the 80s when it was big. We were all, what, kids then, and like just coming into that. Now we're like, I think maybe that could be part of their problem too. But as far as kind of like on any sort of trading basis, on the 3DS, there's this thing called Street Pass, and I get a kick out of using that. It's like a proximity thing where if you're in range of somebody, you kind of like get their info, not their info like in a creepy way, but you get like their profile name and all that. I think if Apple was to do something like that, where you had a street pass, you get in proximity of people who also have this app, and you get like a little unlockable or something, I think that would be huge. Just like Fog of World, Chris, where it's one of those things that it's just kind of like you have it with you at all times, and you kind of like gain little things as time goes on. I think that'd be awesome if someone else took that, like Android Marketplace or Apple. But
Yeah, almost like Google with that Pokemon thing that
yeah, that's exactly right.
so if they had that, they incorporated you walking around, and if you went into the woods, you get this Pokemon. That'd be
I think that'd be huge. Be absolutely huge.
You're
But
talking about maybe if they had those Pokemon NFCs, those figurines.
no, what we're talking about, like if Street Pass was that format of Street Pass was adopted on like the Android platform or the Apple platform, to where like if you're
Oh.
in proximity of
If
someone,
Nintendo went, yeah.
or
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
if they licensed it through Apple or Apple just developed their own, I think that I love Street Passing. I think it's so like I get all
I
like
think that's cool too. It's to the point where like maybe like now that we have a daughter and we just want to get her out and Minnesota winters are long, we'll go to the Mall of America every like month in in the cold months just to get out and go to a big place where a lot of people are. I'll bring my 3DS along.
mhm.
Run into people from different states and all this thing. Even though it has such mediocre rewards for
Oh
doing that.
yeah.
It's just fun to see like, hi, I'm Kenny from Kentucky, and like, I like dogs. Like, yeah, sure, it's fun. It has small rewards.
It's just it fills me up with like this weird like it feels like I'm like in
Like you're actually
Assassin's.
part of a bigger world.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. It's like Assassin's Creed. Like nothing is true, everything is permitted. Like it's just like the secret brotherhood that it's like going on behind the scenes. Like that guy who like you street pass with might have been the a-hole who was like jockeying for your parking spot in the just like you think of all these like weird like little interactions. Like it just I don't know. It's fascinating to me. Anyways,
So are we still officially on my story of the week?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Two stories
Alex,
of the
what's your
week?
story of the week?
Okay, my story of the week, which probably isn't that huge, is EA shutting down the online capabilities for 50 of their games, their old
Ooh.
games.
Oh.
Yeah, because they
Could
have.
you extrapolate on that, please? Because I'm
All
not
right.
sure.
So GameSpot is
Game Spy.
closing
Right?
closing a lot of their stores, and I guess they had housed the servers for some of the EA games, such as like Battlefield 2, or no, Battlefront 2, Battlefield 2 also, and since they're going out, they're going to be shutting down I think it's called GameFly servers, and
Huh.
So you're saying that basically a lot of these older games that still had online functionality like will be basically all the servers will be shut down.
all of them. I mean, unless
Is
you
there
got the newer versions, old FIFAs are going offline.
is there
Um,
is there any talk about like users being able to make their own servers for some of these?
Probably not on anything
no,
console based.
because most of the games are on console.
But if there were some integration with PC where they could say, like we're gonna make this and
They probably
we're gonna make
could.
a server.
I think that the main servers are just going to go off for that game.
Well,
I don't know.
it
I
sounds
also
like
don't know,
EA.
I also don't know if the games are in high demand for online servers.
Right.
I
Well,
kind
it's
of
kind of
like
like it's. I think it's fun. I think it's okay. But if you're one of the players of those games,
Yeah,
you're pissed.
of
Um,
course.
I think it's kind of like. Did you guys hear the story when Halo 2 servers got shut down finally?
Yeah, and like people
They
were
were
just
like,
like
they were like,
holding out. It's like
yeah,
the
there were. It was like an 8-on-8. There was like an 8-person group that were like, okay, we're gonna play this to the bitter end. And basically, what they did is they just kept playing games, kept their consoles online until like power went out or like their consoles shut down. Like it was like they would drop off like flies, but really beefy flies. Like
yeah.
it was just like, oh my god, like this
Oh,
guy,
yeah.
yeah, this guy, and they were like streaming it and everything, and I was like, oh, this guy just like lost it. I think that's pretty legendary. I mean, this won't be anything like that because
Yeah.
there's too many games we're talking about here that are inconsequential. But but that was a hell of a ride there with the Halo 2 servers being shut down. Pretty.
I kind of like that they do that though, because otherwise you'll just. I think it
It's more
forces.
resources for the company.
Well, it's that, and it like forces people to choose a new franchise to buy into or a new iteration of a franchise that they were playing, and I like that because then you kind of get new blood into otherwise stagnant like communities. So like there's people who are playing Battlefield 2 and Battlefield 1942 or is it 1943?
43, I think.
I think
1943 was on the consoles
okay.
as a $20 download.
So I kind of like that because then they're kind of like forced into making the decision on which of the newer games they are gonna join. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, but then you're telling the people that like bought your game and enjoyed it for so long that like you're not gonna enjoy this game anymore because we have declared it. So
I don't know. Like it's
your
always comes
your
down.
enjoyment is now history. It's gone.
I If it was an MMO or something with like progressive, sort of something like that, I would understand a little more resistance. But I think this is like, can you really play an FPS for that long? And like, oh, dude,
Apparently,
I know
people
this.
find a way.
I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't. Then again, I'm like a goldfish.
I think that is a pretty big story though, Alex, and that's it's one worth taking note of because that is something that we'll probably see, especially like well, with as big a publisher as EA is, I think we'll see
And I think,
that sort of like that sort of decision on their part
yeah,
taking its toll in their audience.
and I think that as time progresses, when we see our games start to go offline that we grew up with, it's going to be a little emotional for many of people. But
Well, it was that way for me with Halo 2 because I was in the top 50 of Halo 2 free-for-all players for the first week. And then the people who were really good, inherently good at those games started started kicking me out.
For history.
Yeah, exactly.
I
I should
remember
have
when
because then there could have been truth to my story.
City of Heroes servers were shut down a couple of
Oh,
years ago. I
yeah.
barely played the game. I played it because of you, Sean. It was the first time I tried, and you had
I
it.
remember
and,
that.
And
also,
but
wasn't
just I got. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was going to say that another game, it was that cop game where you could play as either a cop.
APB?
Yeah, APB. They also shut down
Oh.
their servers.
Mm.
That
I
game
didn't-
had
I mean,
a
I got a
common
little-
though.
I got a little
Yeah.
misty-eyed from just from that the City of Heroes thing. I'm like, man, like I only played the game for a couple months probably. 'Cause
But
my-
now it's no one's gonna enjoy it ever again.
Yeah, now it's done. Like there are people always be like, "I'll save the City of Heroes servers." Everyone's like, "Oh, sad." They're talking about their memories, and I'm like, that's crazy."
Yeah, yeah. And that time eventually in your lifetime, Chris, probably will come for a while.
But
No!
yeah, when our servers go out. I was like, no,
That'll
man.
probably happen.
What's gonna happen is they're gonna announce that, and I'm gonna reactivate my account in like 30 years and be like showing my kids like this is where I did this,
Yeah.
and I'm still not
This
gonna
is
have
where
to
I
actually
got this
go on.
tattoo.
I would
Yeah.
really hope that they would provide some kind of service for a game like WoW that's had such a storied history that they would provide some kind of service where you can offload your character and all of its like belongings just to like a 3D model viewer essentially. No
Yeah.
gameplay, just simply
It's like a futuristic picture. Is that what you're asking?
exactly
for?
like a Harry Potter picture. I don't know, but anyways, that or like a printed out like album, like a bound kind of
like what you did.
like achievements
Dude,
and the
I
date.
would
Uh,
I would make that myself, honestly, before they
Yeah.
did give it to me, probably.
Well,
But
yeah, but I mean, if they were to be dicks about it and be like, "Oh yeah, well, you know, we can provide you with like all the PDFs and whatnot you need to print out and all this to make it like
Yeah.
nice and neat," or you just it's gone. So
Miles, can I stop you and ask you, are you holding an industrial strength nail clipper in your hand?
that's correct.
Oh my God. You must have some severe gangrene. Uh, uh,
I
so,
like the fidget. I'm sorry.
is it like a hand pump for you? You're like slowly increasing.
What you don't see is actually
Yeah, I don't want to see.
okay.
Okay. Chris, what's your story of the week?
I don't have one. I just got
Okay,
back from Florida.
that's
so.
just fine.
Reason.
Miles, story of the week?
Penis pump. Go ahead.
Whoa.
No, that's just
That is
your
not a story of the week.
Oh,
No, that's
right.
just it's only for you.
That's just a story of your life. We're looking for like
Looking for maybe something more short term.
Well, I can tell you it's quite a tale right now. Sorry. I'm sorry.
It's a short tail,
the tails are on the back end.
but a
It's
tail
a-
nonetheless.
It's a novella. I don't know. Anyways, let's go on to the next topic because I am long-winded.
Okay, that's the only
That's
thing
the
long.
only one.
Yeah,
Yep,
there we go. All right, Chris and I are just right there. There we go. It must be the blood. Okay, so as far as going on to the next segment, we can either talk about Star Wars or it might be more prudent to talk about what we've been playing in short form this week, so we can actually talk about Star Wars. What you been playing, Chris?
Since I've been away from
Tell me handhelds.
That's exactly it. I've been doing 3DS. I played some Fire Emblem Awakening. Got that back from my friend. Really been
That's
enjoying
horrible, Miles. It's horrible. All
Anyway,
right,
so
go
Fire
for
Emblem
it, Chris.
Awakening, which is pretty much like eugenics, the game. You can like breed your armies. It's kind of cool.
That's the
And
most
then-
that's the most repugnant thing about that game that I own the game, but I haven't gotten to that point. Because I'm not as big a Fire Emblem guru as my brothers are.
Yeah.
So I think the most repugnant thing about that game is you're essentially choosing the superior race to breed your offspring so they can be
You're just
awesome.
talking about pairing up like 2 units, male and female, and being like, well, if I pair with this, they'll get this skill, and if I pair with this color, this character, this whole thing, and so it's like
It seems to be like a Nintendo thing, especially with the breeding of Pokemon. It's like
That's the other game that I've been picking up today.
you don't have this move at birth. We'll
Like,
find
I'm really-
we'll find a mass grave for you.
Exactly. No, at level 1, I'm trying to think. I got into the IV breeding when X and Y came out, and kind of I barely revisited it now. I'll probably pick it up again. I'm going to a Pokemon pub crawl. I'm going to battle for drinks, so that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, if I was
That's
bigger
what it is,
than
Mark,
the
yeah.
T-shirt thing. So why don't you tell everyone about the T-shirt thing? That seems actually pretty cool.
Oh, well, what the organizers they have you pay $20 to go to the event, and it gets you like badges at each like gym. We have like bars that are gyms, and so you go to the gym, you order a drink, you get a badge. But
And
it
you
also
need to
gets
take
you
a specific shot relative to the
specific drink. Yeah. And so
drink.
they also have T-shirts, so you get to choose. They're making T-shirts for like the first 3 generations of Pokemon, because it's the 3rd annual of this pub crawl. The first one I've been to. So you get to pick a Pokemon to go on the T-shirt. Each person gets an individual one. So all my favorites were taken by the time I registered for the event. So I chose Omastar, because of the Twitch Plays Pokemon thing with the Helix fossil. I thought that was pretty great.
Nice.
But so like they're gonna have like a design on the front, and they have like the Pokemon and its number on the back. So everyone's gonna have their own personalized shirt, which is
Oh,
pretty
I
cool.
was thinking on the shirts they were actually gonna have the Pokemon, but that's a little bit more badass than I suppose
No,
they
they're
were
having
capable of
the
affording.
Pokemon and the number.
Oh, okay, cool.
They're having
Yeah, okay.
leaf kit, like it actually has the Pokemon picture on it. So
That's rad. That's
I
really
haven't seen them yet. They said they just got them in there, or they've been shipped or something. So they're gonna post a preview at some point. But so they're talking about how you can bring your 3DS and you can battle someone like winner. The loser buys the winner a drink. So I think that'll be pretty cool.
Ooh, that
But
actually
like,
is really cool.
yeah, but I've been so with the breeding thing we were talking about the eugenics and everything. I did that a lot over over the past year basically. I didn't really do much this spring, but
I did
like
eugenics a lot last
I
year.
did like yeah, Pokemon eugenics. But so like I'd learned how to do this
Hitler
breeding
last
stuff, and like
summer.
I think at the most like the quickest I've ever gotten like a perfectly bred Pokemon was like 12 eggs. Took me only 12 eggs to do it, but the longest took me like 10 times that, like 125 eggs or something like that to get the one I was looking for.
What are we talking about in man hours?
I'm trying to think about this a second. Each one takes a certain amount of steps. So I mean, to do like a thing of 5
We're
eggs,
like
you have to,
we're min-maxing Pokemon. It's happening.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But so it's like for 5 eggs, I mean, it takes maybe 5 minutes, let's say, maybe a little more than
Okay.
5 minutes. So I mean, that times for 125 eggs takes.
Wait, so
Uh,
is your character literally like goose stepping around Pokemon world?
no, what you do,
You-
you have
Do
the
you make
I
that
wouldn't
egg
use
hatch?
that verb. I wouldn't use that verb.
So the thing where you do your Pokemon you're producing eggs. You leave 2 of them in like the breeding center, and they produce eggs. Once you get a full group of eggs, you can't hold anymore. You usually fly to this area that's just a complete circle, and you can just hold one direction on the D-pad, and you'll just go around this tower in a circle.
So
Um,
the British boy band has a DS game now? You hold
I've always wondered about that. Which direction is the one direction? Like,
North.
North, always
Yeah.
north. Thank you, Miles. Obviously, was there another? I mean, you don't want to go south, that's for sure.
Yeah.
They don't want to go west because they're Americanized.
Yeah.
East
So
just provides
let's
a
say it's
whole
long. It takes maybe
host
10
of
minutes for
problems.
5 eggs. 5 times 5 is 50 minutes for 25 eggs. So maybe a total of about at least 5 hours to get that of total just egg hatching to get that 125th shelter is what it was at the time. Whereas for the Aerodactyl, it took only 12. That was like what 20 minutes tops.
See, some people play Pokemon,
That are autistic.
and they would be the best at Pokemon
And
That's correct.
well, yeah, they are, I guess. But
if they didn't give up on it. Some people are normal and played Pokemon in their youth and then realized that kids got smart and
What?
Pokemon was suddenly
kids
more
got smart
complex
and
than they
suddenly
were.
became like way more complex than they could handle. And I'd rather put RPG elements into another game.
I just, yeah.
That wasn't superimposing like French supermodels onto my game.
I never like games like that where you have to like sequentially and very like meticulously build your character to maximize like its effect. So I remember in like the old poke, even like on Red and Blue, you had to like give them like the certain candies to max their stats early on, so
Yeah.
then they would like scale better. And it's like I don't want to think
See,
that.
I'm even like more of a further Pokemon degenerate than you because I when
You just sold the candies, right?
I don't know, I'm just like no, I obviously got the candies, but when the new move came up, because each Pokemon can only have 4 moves, and then you like you basically like take a Pokemon at birth and say you are going to know these 4 moves.
Yes.
That's my understanding, right? Okay. Because my brothers basically lay out their Pokemon teams, and they're like, I'm going to pick this one, I'm going to pick this one, I'm going to trade for this one, I'm going to pick this one, and they're all going to have these specific moves so I can counter this and this and this. I'm like, whenever a new move comes up, I'm like,
I just learn it.
is it ice? Learn it. Is it normal? I don't care. Like it's just like you're more badass because you can do elemental damage. Like I don't know. I guess there's a place in the world for me, but I choose not to enter that realm.
Sean,
Um,
you're not going to be the very best like no one ever was. That's just
I
not.
know. It's
Oh.
something that I need to deal with.
No, you didn't.
And I'll never have a song dedicated to my feats, but I'll maybe play Pokemon X eventually.
Yeah, you still haven't even beat that, you mother.
No,
Oh,
why
and
would I beat it?
day after our last podcast, they announced Ruby and Sapphire
I
remake.
saw that.
I've
That
heard
should
about
be the
that.
story of the week. I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it.
You're not, why not?
Because
It's happening.
No.
No, listen, it's Nintendo saying
Listen.
we need more money. We
Call
need
of
more
Duty.
money. How do we make more money?
Capital
Well,
Call
Please
of
get
Duty.
Pokemon.
Miles, you're going to buy that.
I
There's
don't
the
wanna.
bark.
You did
Um,
say that.
My wifey's home. Gorgeous wife. Um. Okay. So you still need me to direct this conversation, apparently.
We're just all saying, yeah,
Come
like,
on,
look at
Miles.
you.
Pick it up.
I didn't know. I thought you said when you got back, you were gonna be like
I was still gonna do it.
operation.
I thought
I
there
did
was
well when you were
fair amount of
away. Ask
improv
him.
here. No, I know. I have faith you did. Okay, so who do we still have to talk about? What everyone besides for Alex and Chris? So Miles and me need to talk about what we've been playing.
I just love to talk about what I'm playing, I think.
Okay, Alex, what have you been playing?
All right, I've been playing a game called Catherine
Ooh.
for
Oh.
PlayStation 3.
How is
Yeesh.
this?
I've heard things about this game.
It is extremely difficult. It is it's simple yet extremely difficult. The simple part of the gameplay is that you're climbing a tower, and you have to pull and push blocks around in order to climb up the tower. But it gets real complicated
Alex,
really fast.
will you tell me what made you play this game?
Well, I did a game trading with Phil.
Oh, okay.
He brought over like
Will you
need to
tell
say?
me what made Phil want to play this game?
probably because
It's hypersexualized?
I'm gonna go with the non-obvious question or answer, and I'm gonna say because he's a fan of Atlas, the developer.
Okay, that's fair. You want to know how far I go back with Atlas? They made this absolute, maybe Chris remembers it, but they made this absolutely fantastic like Asian themed dodgeball game on the Game Boy Advance. And it was yeah, you know what I'm
Yes.
talking. It's like
Yes,
maybe
I do.
in the recesses of your memory, but it's like it was like this dodgeball game with like combos and like specific characters. Speaking of eugenics, had like specific skills that you would bring them along.
So they were dodging the men that had the preferable genes as balls. I get it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So it has to do with testicles. No, but it was actually like a dodgeball game that, oh man, I want to find that game now. It's so good. It's like this game where like you literally like it's like a dodgeball game and you throw balls at the other team and each team has their specific power-ups. It's like it's kind of like I don't it's like Power Stone meets RPG kind of like but in a dodgeball
Arena.
sense. Like it's like it's action based, but it's also like holy shit, he's using his ultimate. Oh!
Oars.
Yeah, it is. But anyways, so that was Team Atlas. I think I'm gonna research that. Go ahead, Alex.
All right, so
What do you
yeah,
think about the
Atlas,
game? I mean, I mean, the obvious like elephant in the room here is that it
I was
is.
trying to avoid that, and you just brought
I mean,
it right
no,
back.
but I want to get his thoughts on it because it seemed like the selling point for the game was basically that Catherine is sexy. right?
Indeed, and I'm almost done with the game, so I understand why she is. But I'm not going to spoil it unless you want me to.
No.
No, all right.
Don't you always spoil why? No, okay, never mind.
No, it's crucial to why
Oh,
the
okay.
game plot. And the game plot is basically you play as
Is she
Vincent.
his like ultimate woman kind of thing going on? Like it's like his like it's that's probably the spoiler. It
Yeah,
probably is.
that's
Okay.
probably the spoiler, but
Yeah.
you play as Vincent
It's his dream.
Brooks,
Okay.
and he's dating a person named Catherine with a K, and then
Catherine with a C comes along.
Catherine with a C comes along,
No
and
pun intended.
he starts he starts cheating on Catherine with a K with Catherine with a C, and
This sounds a lot like my, you know.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Anyways.
and so
Miles and I have both dated two girls named Catherine. Is that right?
No, you've dated two Catherines. I've dated two Rachels,
Oh, right,
two
right.
Ashleys, and two Carolyns.
God, what a
Yeah,
nightmare.
it's bad.
Only in California.
oh
Yeah.
my god.
Anyway,
By the way, okay, so Alex, I'm gonna have you finish up your thoughts on the game and what you think we should know on it before I give my super big reveal.
Okay, so Vincent has these nightmares, and you play his dreams in these nightmares, and the goal is to reach the top of the tower, and if you don't, you die. And if you die in your dreams, you die in real life. So his character would die if you died. And what can I say? It's a very difficult game. There are parts where you have to decide whether or not you want to try and push the blocks off of the playing grounds and have the whole tower try and collapse, or you have to think maybe I can try to jump down and go around the tower structure and try and climb it from the back.
so this is like
You're pushing these blocks like Link does in Zelda, right?
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Okay.
So you can push
And
blocks,
then,
you can pull blocks, and it's three-dimensional, so you can push them away from you, or you can pull them out.
it's like
But you can
Cubert.
but you can only go up one block, one block at a time. So if
It's
you
like
wanna get-
Cubert.
yeah, it's like Cubert.
Huh.
So it gets very complicated. There are explosive
Is
blocks.
Is the more attractive part for you, Catherine with a C, or pushing blocks?
Say that again?
Don't make me.
I'm gonna make you.
Do you enjoy the story aspects more or the pushing blocks aspect more?
I actually like the story more. And they switch throughout how they tell the story. So they might tell it in a 3D animation, and then they might switch it to a 2D animation. But it has a little bit of you decide how he acts based on your responses. So it has a little bit of the pros and cons of uh, what he should do. So you get these text messages, or you talk to people, and they give you a choice of what you should say, and depending on your response, he either has good thoughts or bad thoughts, and then those thoughts influence how he treats other characters.
Do they influence the block pushing?
No,
Okay.
but
wh-
how drunk he is does influence
Oh,
the block
there you
pushing.
go. As it
So-
always does. When
Yes.
I'm too drunk, I choose not to push blocks.
No,
Yeah, me neither.
In general.
This is the opposite. The more drunk you get, the faster you can push the blocks around.
Are you imprecise in pushing the blocks?
Yeah, you're precise in pushing.
No,
the
are
blocks.
you imprecise?
No,
Oh.
you
Well,
are
this is
precise
the opposite of real life.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite. So you go faster and you're more precise.
Okay. I will. What's your price point for the game, Alex? At this point, it's like 3 years old, 2 years old now.
Yeah. So get it if you could. $20 is probably good. It is very difficult. So puzzle games, if you like puzzle games, perfect game for you.
Adam.
Adam, yes.
So the game that I was thinking of was called Super Dodgeball Advance, of course. And then okay, it was
Yes.
released in Japan
Yes.
as Bakunetsu Dodgeball Fighters.
Nice.
Bakunetsu meaning burning heat dodgeball game. So,
All right.
yeah. Anyways, but it was a really good game.
I mean, it was a game.
It was a good game.
It
Was it
was
a
a
really
game.
good game? It was a game. The story on Wikipedia said, it is a time when dodgeball is at the peak of its glory. The dream is to become a professional dodgeball player is just as popular as the dream to become any other kind of athlete. Only the best teams from around the world can participate in the championship tournament and compete to become the world's #1 team. How far in the championship tournament can you go?
So this was released like when
2001.
Okay, yeah.
It's right here.
Yep.
Oh my god.
It was so good.
Oh
I gotta
my
see the
god. The
screenshot.
graphics are actually surprisingly.
No, it was a hell of a game. It was really, really good. I mean, I did my research at age 16.
All right, they need to re-release this on Steam. Stat.
You could just find it. All right, so who are we missing? Miles, what have you been playing?
Hearthstone, which I'm taking a break from because butt hurt.
Guilt here.
No, I'm just. I don't even want to talk about it.
No, I was talking about your rank actually. That you're single tier. Oh, sorry, I wasn't crying.
I don't get it.
Although the motion does.
Oh, it's there. Yeah, it's there. No, I'm stuck. So I'm just like, I'm not gonna waste any more time on this because.
Which makes you sad because I feel like we could actually take it to the next level, but.
Take it to the next level. No,
but I know when you're fed up enough.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of done for now. I think I'm gonna wait out the rest of this season. I think they do their seasons by months, but I don't know if that's true or not. We'll see.
We did in the beta, but now they're. I have a feeling that this season will go until mid-June.
Okay.
Until Curse of Nexramus.
So I'm pretty much at this point, honestly, just settling with
To be
my
honest,
card
I'm
back.
like I do want to get to Legend. I don't know if I'm gonna do it this season. I don't know if I am gonna try for it this season, but I'm so excited about the idea of new cards as often as possible.
Yeah.
Like just like putting a shot in the arm to this game.
Yeah, and I'm really disillusioned with just the gameplay at this point. I have all the cards I could ever need. I bought a bunch of packs with real money, and that doesn't do anything. I've shuffled between the classes. That doesn't do anything. It just seems that I'm missing something fundamental. I don't know, but I've decided. As of now, I'm not going to commit any more time to it, and I'm going to work on get back to the backlog. So I've been working on Assassin's Creed, and price point, honestly, free. I wouldn't play it if it didn't get it for free, just because.
Wow.
I'm just kind of. I enjoy it, but it's just like there's so much other stuff out there, and I think I'm leaning more towards indie experiences at this point, and kind of like new and refreshing experiences, and rather than kind of
redone.
Yeah, so I wouldn't pay anything more than free for it, honestly, but that's just me. It's a good game. It's a beautiful game. Graphics are good, but I've been running into some glitches on the PC, and it's just like, yeah.
So you wouldn't have paid $5 for what you've
absolutely
experienced
not.
so far?
Absolutely not.
Anything else you got for us, Miles?
Legos? I'm working on my second model, and that one's been taking quite a while.
You got that
Wait,
picture
we're
from
talking
the...
about real Legos?
Yeah.
You're
I sent
working on your
Miles.
second model?
Yeah.
I
Why?
sent Miles a picture of the selection from the Mall of America Lego store when I
Oh,
was there.
yeah. Every time I walk by that place, I'm like,
Don't do it.
get the Death Star.
Don't do it.
But
Get the
that would
Millennium
be.
Falcon. It's like $4,000. It's totally fine.
But if you only knew the power of the dark side.
I still just want. I want to get a set with Metalbeard from the Lego Movie. He's like this giant pirate mech, basically. He's got like cannons on his arm.
I still
I
haven't
love
seen
the
it.
guy.
I'm
It
so
was pretty
behind
good.
on movies.
It was
I
pretty
mean,
good.
it looked fantastic, and it got rave reviews.
Yeah.
Um, well, as far as what I've been playing Hearthstone a little bit. It's actually been kind of a slow week for me. I did like half an hour of uh, Lego Marvel Superheroes
Oh,
today.
nice.
I was watching Juliet and my wife was taking a
So
nap.
Hannah,
What the heck is this imposter doing here?
Oh, wow.
We'll get to Joe in a second,
Need a
but
proper intro, Sean.
I got several intros lined
Several
up for Joe.
intros for her.
But so I played like half an hour of Lego Marvel. I feel bad every time I start up that game. Like I'm like, I know I'm not gonna give you the time you deserve. Like I've already spent time with your family, and I know like I've grown up, but I can't give you the time that you need. But I would like to divorce myself from the PC world for like a weekend and just be like, all right, we're gonna game on console for a little bit and we're gonna see how we feel about it. And Lego Marvel Superheroes, to be honest, is like the game. Like I have Dead Rising 3, I have Forza Motorsport 5. If I like, I had a spare half an hour where my daughter was like, "Hey, I'm gonna play with some toys in front of you, and you can do whatever. You can watch a movie, you can do whatever." She was distracted, and I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna play some Lego. I'm gonna play with Legos. Uh, you play with your
Play like
princesses, and I'm
brick
gonna
and
play."
mortar Legos, or do you play the game?
No, I mean, I can't justify the purchase of Legos at this point. Like maybe later on, but I'll live through my brothers building their Legos, but I can't justify the purchase of Legos as much as I want because once they're built, I'm just like, yeah, that was fun. It took me 20 minutes. Like,
That's kind of yeah.
yeah, exactly. And like, as cool as an X-wing looks, like, or even like the Death Star or something like that, or a Y-wing, be like, okay, cool, you're done. Um, I would rather like spend half an hour on Minecraft almost like than do it like it's more nostalgia for me. But anyways, Lego Marvel Superheroes is really really good, really good, and I've probably spent a total of 4 hours in the world right now. Um, the unlockables, as in all Lego games, are fantastic. You unlock heroes, villains. Chris has played it to some extent. Um, it
I'm
has
thinking
the
about
draw.
taking Peter's copy with me back to California.
Yeah, it has the draw that Lego Star Wars, Lego Indiana Jones has, where like you come back to it after you've beat the game, and then you unlock little like Lego parts, and then those parts make up little pieces to I don't know, like it could be like the shield levitation device, whatever it's called, or it could be it could be Charles Xavier's wheelchair. I don't know, like, um, but like those are the kind of like fun things that, in a Lego game that keep me coming back for more. But it's also that the Lego game system has been refined to a sharp point at this point, where both for adults and kids, it's rewarding and it's fun and it's a way to just like do an adventure game. Um, I also like just as something new to bring to the table for an hour before the show, I played Kentucky Route Zero. which is a game on Steam that I bought on sale a while ago, one of the 100. And it is a hyper stylized game with absolutely fantastic graphics. The sound quality is out of this world, and it is completely confusing. The play style and how you control the game is not confusing. It's not frustrating, but how they plant you as a player into the game is absolutely confusing because you come into the point without any backstory, without knowing anything about your character, no games, no predecessors of the game, and they just force you to make conversation choices. And they're not stark and clear. It's not like good guy or bad guy. It's just like, oh, is this your dog? Yeah, his name is Homer. Yeah, her name is Blue. And it's like, and then that choice goes along the game, and it's not. I haven't gotten to the point where like it has any significant value, but to be honest, like the game is um, uh, sensory and emotional enough that it has a trigger on the player as to what their relation is to what they're seeing.
Hmm.
So it's you essentially from like the short time that I've spent in the game, you essentially make this world what you like. I was telling Miles before we started the podcast, you superimpose your personality or your wants or your desires or your history upon this game, and it could change. Like the game could change. It has an episodic style to it, like Wolf Among Us, like the Telltale games, but it's not as rapid in release as them. Um, I would from I'm gonna play more of it before I recommend it. But I've heard a lot of good things about it on other podcasts, and I'm absolutely intrigued by it now. And I'm happy that I played it.
Price point?
So, $20. It's at 25 right now on Steam, and wait 3 weeks. It'll go on sale most likely, you know.
Summer sale.
But honestly, like as soon as you see this piece on sale, buy it, play it. I'll play it, and we'll talk about it because this game has a lot of people excited as far as like the story that it tells and the story that you participate in. I've played an hour of it. I'm more excited about it and more excited to be in its world than I am in Wolf Among Us, and that's saying something.
Have you beaten Wolf Among Us or up to the most
No,
recent?
I have not. But I've only played the first episode of both. And if I were to have played the first episode of both, um, uh, Ducky Root Zero would give Wolf Among Us a run for its money.
Hmm.
And it's a completely different game. Completely different. It's a point and click. It's a point and click adventure essentially. So that's all I got. Johanna's with us now.
Hello.
Joe,
Well,
have you been playing anything special?
I played Slender.
And
It was not scary. It was confusing. Well, okay, there's two versions. I guess I went for the first related original version featuring Slenderman's children, and I killed like two of his kids.
You can
And
do that?
yeah, it was. You basically just hit spacebar a bunch of times until their moaning stops and they're flattened on the ground. I felt like the graphics weren't that like they were obviously bad, but it wasn't a big detraction for me because it was more like this game isn't supposed to be, submersive. It's supposed to be tempting to scare you.
immersive?
But yeah, sorry, immersive. There you go. But it was like, well, there he is. He suddenly appears, and then I die. But did I die or did I win? Or like there was no differentiating, like because there wasn't any text telling me you lost or the Slenderman got you or anything like that. Like it was just this kind of circular, like, okay, I'm back at the car. I guess I go find him again.
You're looking for hand holding? in the game? Is that what?
Not necessarily hand holding. I just need direction to tell me if I've lost or if I've won. If I'm supposed to, like, I guess the goal is to not go near Slenderman, but whenever he would appear, I would just kind of like go towards him because it didn't like, and then I'd like run away. But and
That sounded like a good idea to you?
well,
To run towards?
I understood that it was supposed to be a horror game, but it didn't see. It seemed like it was rather underwhelming. I should download the other version of it because I guess that version is scarier. So I should download. The thing that
I think
attracted
I've only
me,
played the first game. So,
thing that attracted me to the first one was that it had a like you were in the forest. But in the game, in the instances I played, I didn't really spend much time in the forest. He did kill me once in the forest, but most of my time was in the house, which was like I enjoyed how you had these hollow footsteps, and it was kind of like that was a little bit creepy. And you had all these doors, some were locked, and that was kind of like, ooh, what's going on here? Um, I didn't mind the layout of the house. I thought that was kind of cool. How it was kind of like you'd never had a good field of vision because you had this hallway and all the rooms were coming off it, and you could never like see around a corner or anything. So that was kind of cool because as far as scary properties go. But yeah, it was underwhelming. I don't really scare easily from stuff like that. If it's an actual like horror movie, I'll be screaming. But yeah.
wow.
But who of you have played it, and what did you guys think?
I haven't played it. I watched
haven't
you
played it.
stream it, and I was like, meh, didn't look scary to me.
I played it. I played that first bit. It was my understanding of I understood my objective before I went into the game because I had heard enough about it. It's like you're supposed to find these little notes that are tied to different things, like nailed to trees or posted in. That was enough to scare me because my objective was to collect what was it, like 7 of these things?
Yeah.
See, is that in the first version, or is that in the second version?
That's in the first one, I think.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay, so that might have been a big thing, is like if you're just
Mhm.
wandering around. But you see, so if that's the difference between a frightening experience, I guess, and like a confusing experience,
Mhm.
and that I was given the objective to find these notes in a world that I knew nothing about, and it was it was a small world, but um, it was dark. It's dark, and so
Right.
so you're reaching around this dark world trying to spot using your eyes to like narrow down, might that be a note or might that be just like a figment of my imagination? So you go closer to it. There's no note, but you do see Slenderman past another tree, and you're just like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. So you just run the other way, and you know that Slenderman's behind you, and you're just like trying to survive until you can find these notes. So that's your objective. And it becomes increasingly more difficult to find the notes because Slenderman, or at least the AI program, becomes more aggressive in its pursuit. So I don't know, that's curious. Maybe we should investigate that a little bit more about like given that objective, is it scarier? Like for me, it was scary
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
because as a gamer, I couldn't beat it. I couldn't beat the goal. I can, like
Mhm.
meet what I needed to do without this guy being on my back. So
Yeah, it's kind of like you're out, you're a hunter capturing a rare, and then some ally comes and kills you, that kind of thing. Like similar.
yeah, once you start speaking singular about games, then some people get lost. Like once we relate this game that has nothing to do with World of Warcraft
Sorry.
to something that is all World of Warcraft. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just it's a point that we should make, I guess. But
Okay, it's like you're Lulu wandering around trying to find your ADC in the jungle, and then no.
like once you
Now
talk
you
about
lost me.
one, see there Chris goes.
Yeah, everyone's just falling off.
I would highly recommend reading a little bit about Slenderman and then playing it because it's
Okay.
free. No, I'm not just saying this to you, Joe, but to any listeners that we have. I would highly recommend it because just read a little bit beforehand, know what your goal is, and then play it and see if there's a different opinion about it. Uh, I think it can be scary, and it was like slightly scary for me. Not nearly as scary as other games, but I think it has something to offer, and which is why I think Slenderman has actually become sort of like a cultural icon among nerds in some ways. Like if you look at Slenderman, you actually know what he is, whether from Minecraft or from this game. So, am I correct there that Slenderman's a Minecraft guy, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
he's one of the
All right.
enemies or
I just
whatever.
I just wanted to double check that because I haven't played for so long. So guys, it's now midnight my time, and
And we
after all
haven't talked
this
about Star
time,
Wars for 2
we
weeks.
actually, I think Chris, if you're game, I know you're tired, but I feel like we should talk about Star Wars.
Absolutely.
All right, Miles, as long as it's not talking about Episode 3, I'd like you to start us off.
Oh, you terrible decision, Sean.
Probably.
You are the chosen one. Sorry. What exactly about Star Wars? Is there any stepping stone here? Or are we just gonna kind of catapult into anything Star Wars?
Well, we've already talked about our favorite Star Wars video game of all time. Maybe we can extrapolate upon those points in a little bit here. But what are your hopes for where the Star Wars franchise is going at this point?
I guess I've never really cared in like a sense that like whatever direction they take it, I will respect. I think all the hatred towards George Lucas and all that is so like it's so dramatic to me. It's just like it's his like brainchild, and yet you're gonna like sit here and yeah, I mean
Have
just
you ever talked, or have you ever watched on Netflix The People
yes.
versus George Lucas? Okay, I think we've talked about this. Any of you Star Wars fans that have been Star Wars fans for a long time that haven't seen this movie, it's on Netflix. It's called The People versus George Lucas. It makes a compelling argument against George Lucas and also against the fans that are putting up such a fuss about George Lucas's decisions. Um, I think it's something good to be watched, especially um, if Star Wars was a part of your childhood, especially if episodes 4, 5, and 6 were a part of your childhood.
I guess I just feel like it's so they act like he's like retroactively undermined the original trilogy, and it's like that's not really the case. And
Well, there is evidence to that point.
I don't know.
As far as the dramatic feel of the movies and the themes and the ideas behind the movie, I guess, the movies.
I don't know. To me, I don't put that much stock into it. It's not something that's gonna upset me either way. I'm gonna go to the midnight showing, and that's gonna be that. I'm not gonna be overly critical. I'm just gonna enjoy it, I guess. So, whatever spawns from any of this, I mean, it's not like I'm putting any gravity or weight into it. What it is, what it's gonna be, and so I don't know. I just
But what
don't
do
see
you? We'll come back to maybe. So we're specifically talking about episode 7 at this point, but I mean, if we're to go down that route, Chris or Alex, what do you think about? What are your hopes for episode 7?
Have we talked about the abandoning of the extended universe
Yeah, the
already?
EU. We've touched upon it.
like the
Yeah.
tier
Because I
system or
remember maybe
whatever.
mentioning it last. Yeah, because I mentioned that before. I'm not sure if we really delved into whether I don't know if we talked about that last week or the week before. But I think that's just a great move. Myself, I don't know if we said this before, but that makes me more excited for episode 7. That it's less constrained to what they've done over the past couple decades, and they're more free to surprise us, I'd say. Which
Yeah,
I
they're
think
not
is
like confined in any sense.
hmm
I think that's really important, especially with the Disney buying out of Star Wars. I think it's really important to rebuild the Star Wars franchise at this point because in the past few years, besides for what BioWare's done and besides for what like Cartoon Network has done, it's felt a little misguided.
Hmm.
Like they didn't really know where it was going. Disney has the opportunity, and they've already taken the initiative to reset that. There's a lot of people that have been Star Wars fans for a long time, including myself, but even the people that are like now 40 years old, even, like my father-in-law was saying that he saw New Hope in theaters,
Mm-hmm.
um,
In
and
'76.
and he was like, this is it. This is revolutionizing cinema as we know it. And he was making that point, but he's not a hardcore fan. But there are people that are his age that saw that changed their lives, and they followed it up into this point. All the Star Wars literature that's been written, video games, everything they bought into it. And now I feel like maybe the EU or the extended universe erase in some ways, or the negation of it might upset them. Uh, but I do feel like most people respect that because it is real to them. It essentially, I feel like what it does is it takes the Star Wars universe and it almost mythologizes it to where you have these several different stories of each iconic character and stories happening in the universe, and they all exist. They're not necessarily true, quote unquote, but they exist, and they're fun roads to go down. Um, but the fact that Disney says these aren't necessarily what truly happened in the Star Wars universe uh, puts a nice big stepping stone to where they can now take the franchise for entertainment value.
Yeah, it erases a lot of like the convoluted sort of there's nothing to adhere to other than they're just the movies, right?
Yeah, just the movies.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's it. It gives them a lot of. There's not a lot of like they don't have to weave any more explanations, like how like the midichlorians or whatever. I feel like that was like they were retconning that whole storyline was like retcon, but now like they're not. They don't have to. Does that make sense? They're not like
The
bound
thing
by any
is
of that.
because midichlorians were like in a movie, they still need to say midichlorians
Oh,
are a
I
thing.
understand they are now, but I'm saying they won't. There won't be any more like mishaps like that. They won't have to explain anything after the fact.
Well, now that they know how like demystified the universe was when it became biological
Yeah.
rather than spiritual, basically.
So now
Um,
basically they're just gonna be harvesting midichlorian, and that's what like it's gonna be like a Bond villain, right? Like they're gonna harvest all the midichlorian from
just
people.
stop
I'm sorry.
talking.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna drop mic and just be like, all right. Um, I don't know. I do have faith. I do have faith in where the only if it was J.J. Abrams coming off of Alias and taking over the Star Wars franchise, I'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. But it's J.J. Abrams coming off of what he's done with the last two Star Trek movies.
Yeah, but also the concern that J.J. Abrams had a couple shows that are being canceled off TV right now. Almost Human and
Those are
Believe.
TV shows. These
Yeah,
aren't
but
TV shows. You gotta know that like if he's signing up to do the Star Wars universe, I wouldn't give a shit about the two TV shows I was executive producing. I would that's another S bomb for me tonight, but like I wouldn't care. Like it
I
was he
guess
a director, or I mean, or was it just endorsed by J.J. Abrams?
I
I mean, he did that one with Bones, right? Well, oh, you're right, Almost Human, and then what was the other one?
Believe
And
on
Fringe.
NBC, and he did Fringe, yeah, but Fringe was very good.
I
And
love
just
Fringe.
good, yeah. But what was the Believe? I haven't
Yeah,
even heard of this.
I haven't
I haven't
either.
heard of it either.
It's like so under the radar. I don't even like. I've even heard of Almost Human, and it was basically like Blade Runner meets sitcom drama. Like I don't like. I don't know. Like
I felt
um,
like I felt like Almost Human was pretty good, and if they had toned down some of the mature content, it was a really good take on some family-oriented. Like it could be a very family-friendly type stuff, but it had too much mature content.
yeah. You ever seen Game of Thrones, Joe? Yeah.
Sore subject. I think.
Actually,
Yeah.
now that I think about it, if he's getting his shows canceled, that just means he can spend more time on Star Wars. So
yeah.
To be
I'm
honest, if
expecting
I
a lot of
would,
lens flare.
I hope that's not. I personally
I
hope
don't-
that's not. In
Lens-
but that's the
Star Wars.
thing is that I feel like he does know that Star Trek is kind of that like sort of shiny like
Like
the
chrome style.
yeah, the lens flare is like these are ships in space, and Star Wars is more fantasy in space.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's not as much lens flare as it is like black and white kind of, if that
Star
makes
Trek
sense
is
with
very
chrome
much
ships
beams
in
and shields.
space. Yeah.
Star Trek's very much like beams and shields and stuff, and
Yeah.
Star Trek, yeah, and Star Wars is more about. I mean, you have the Force, and you have like
Yeah.
a lot of different races, and you have a lot of culture and stuff like that. You don't really see as much in Star Trek.
Well, Star Trek it seems superfluous kind of because it's just like, oh, we're going on to a mystery planet and here's an alien. Hello.
blow up the
We're
planet.
from Starfleet. Is this your home? There's a bad guy in it. Space C4. But but Star Wars, all of the races at this point, even if he were to add new ones, demand a certain amount of respect. Like because people have so much invested in it. Like you know what screamed like disrespect for aliens in Star Trek was when James T. Kirk was like seducing the green woman in bed, and then the black woman came in, like not to like say like I'm not saying like it was because she was black, but it's just like oh, here's a green human, and then here's another human that comes in like she was green with red hair. It's just like oh, it's I don't know. Can anyone back me up on this? Did that feel weird? To anyone? It was like
Is it from the new one?
yeah,
It's from the new one.
it's from the first Star Trek. It's not Into
Oh, it is?
Darkness. It's
Yeah.
when,
Okay, I don't remember that part at all.
yeah, it's when he wants to like try and get with Zoe Saldana, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, and
He
then
doesn't.
right, well,
He
okay,
kind
and then
of does. Kind of wants to. That's
And
what the
then
point
he-
is. But then it's her
yeah.
roommate that he's like.
it's her
Get off.
roommate, and she's a green alien with red hair with a
She's
giant
just a human
human
creature.
bosom.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, come on, like I don't know.
And
Or
then
like-
there's Kirk in the second one who has the threesome with the two cat chicks or
Oh
whatever.
right, yeah.
Khajiit?
No,
Right.
the point is that the alien, like the whole alien idea is like, oh,
It's
they're
just like it's so
humans
it's
with different
so yeah,
attributes.
right, exactly. It's just like
And
Kirk,
it's not.
yeah, he just goes around plugging.
Well,
And that's
I
Plugging
felt
holes.
I felt like it was more of a throwback to like the Shatner Smolder type, like always.
it
I
is.
mean-
But that was more with human women, right?
Well,
it was
he had-
aliens.
the
It was
older
He
stuff.
had
aliens,
plenty
yeah.
of aliens
But they all
where
look
that,
like humans.
yeah.
That's the difference
He
between like
he had
Star Trek
plenty
and
of
Star Wars.
aliens.
Star Trek and
Plenty
Star
of
Wars
aliens
too,
going
is that
around.
I
Star
don't know,
Wars
like,
has a
but
lot
that's
more
what I'm saying.
creative.
It's like each of the aliens sort of like, I guess the interspecies relations with Star Trek like hasn't really been covered. Um, yeah,
Easy.
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we can expect it, but even then, what I'm saying is that like if J.J. Abrams were to pursue that, like it would feel cheap a little bit. And maybe some of the Star Trek fans like felt like it essentially emboldens the character of James T. Kirk, right? So he's just like he's the machismo guy. He's set up that way. Like he's the guy. But Star Wars, besides for Han Solo, there's not really that character, right? And even Han Solo is just like, as far as we know him, he's basically, I mean, he's like a suave guy, but as soon as he mates Leia, he's basically like taking it, like he's wrapped around her finger, right?
Right.
So I think I have a feeling like if we're to
Or is
keep
it
up
her that's wrapped around his finger?
either
Okay.
way,
Shut up,
but
Miles.
I mean
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
he's making the plays on her, like I don't know. Anyways, it's a legitimate claim, but I think that as far as I feel like yeah, if Star Trek feels a little bit more like cowboys in space meets I don't know, like there is a certain amount of like diplomacy to it, I guess, where they, especially with like Jean-Luc Picard, like in Enterprise, like there was very much like this sense of diplomacy. But in the original Star Trek, if we're talking about James T. Kirk, like he was very much the cowboy, right? Where in Star Wars, only the really cowboy we had was Han Solo plus minus Lando,
Lando.
Hmm.
because Lando settled down basically. He's like, I'm a legitimate businessman. Um, So I don't know. I think I guess essentially what we're talking about here is we're talking about the spirit of the two movies, right? What the what the themes are, what the emotions are behind the two movies, and it felt like Star Trek was nailed down a little bit. It was modernized, but I'm really hoping for sort of a modernization in more of an adult theme like Star Trek. So I don't know. Anyone else want to add anything?
I just want to see how big of a role that the old cast is going to play. Or,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I honestly think it's going to be more. But okay, so if we were to look at Leonard Nimoy playing Spock, he actually had a pretty major role, but he wasn't three characters. I would imagine what would happen is I mean, besides for Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca and C3, I feel like C3PO and R2D2 are fine as long as like the comedy is not just like roof, like as long as it's like tame. I feel like out of Han Solo, Leia, and Luke, we'll be seeing a lot more screen time for one of them and minor screen time from two of them. Because I feel like that's the smart play, because essentially what you want to do is you want to, as bad as it sounds for like the actors that played the characters I love, you do want to phase out two of those old actors.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, especially if we're talking about Carrie Fisher, because I think she's a train wreck right now. Um,
She has been for about 20 years.
yeah. So I feel like she'll play a minor role. I feel like maybe Harrison Ford has a bigger role, but I actually feel like Mark Hamill, if we're sort of talking about like the rebuilding of the Jedi,
Yeah.
and sort of like we're not like this is what happens in the extended universe, but this is also what needs to happen practically for the universe of Star Wars. Is there needs to be a rebuilding of the Jedi, because basically, as far as we know, he's the last Jedi to be involved in any sort of big schemes. All the other Jedi are in hiding.
hmm
Um, that escaped Order 66. So, um, I feel like that's the route that they're going to go. And based on, I don't know what Mark Hamill's acting is like nowadays,
Voice
but
acting has been
his voice acting is
phenomenal.
phenomenal.
Mhm.
I mean, but here's the thing: is that he's not playing the eccentric in this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
He's playing
Very
the
true.
wise and the master. So, but if we were to go a route, and if I were to choose a route that I'd be most comfortable with as a fan, I'd rather Han and Leia got phased out after their kids came into the picture, and then Luke takes over.
I don't like when someone's like I don't like when there's like that kind of obvious legacy that's passed on now. So I would almost like it if Luke got killed off or something dramatic to that effect, or Leia got killed off and Han took the reins. I think that would be an interesting twist. I wouldn't like it to be Luke's too obvious to me, I guess.
But for me, as far as like Star Wars existing as fantasy in space, he needs to pass on his legacy and his knighthood, right? So he needs to at least exist for as long as that can happen. And for Luke to become a Jedi Knight, that took 3 episodes in the old movies. So it obviously could happen quicker in the modern day, especially since that classic epic fantasy has been realized. But I feel like he's gonna need to stick around. Who knows? Maybe they'll all stick around for a lot longer than I think. But to be honest, since Ender's Game and Indiana Jones 4, I don't give a shit about Harrison. That's three S-bombs. I mean, he hasn't been really BA since Air Force One. Let's be honest. He was pretty BA.
What about Firewall? What about Firewall?
No.
I'm kidding.
No. And then Carrie Fisher has basically only been on roasts of her friends on Comedy Central. So,
That's her only claim to fame.
yeah. So, well, to be honest, her only claim to fame is the slave outfit, but that's basically, it's
Neither here nor there.
yeah.
Well, never mind.
We'll talk more about that at PAX.
Yeah.
And so, what else do we want to talk about as far as Star Wars? Anyone know anything about Star Wars Rebels? Or is anyone excited about the Clone Wars? Joe, have you been watching Clone Wars?
I haven't been keeping up. I watched quite a bit on and off with my brother's random episodes. I haven't really caught the main storyline. I do like, from what I've caught, the personalization of the clones a little bit. Like, as far as, you kind of have this
Yeah, I
embedded
agree.
feeling. Kind of like, it makes me think of, like, real world correlation. Like, journalists being embedded with troops and have, like, just an interesting dynamic. Like, kind of like you have, these Jedi Knights who are embedded with the clone troops kind of thing, but they're, like, one unit, like, but they're also kind of individuals, and
I
enjoyed that.
mean, all the clones in the movies felt like that, just that. They were
Right.
bodies.
Mhm.
And
that was like the ethical, like, can the Republic, or can we really do this?
But here's the thing: is when the Republic is making clones, and then they're all fighting droids, like you don't care about the fight at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do want to talk. I actually want to springboard off that point, Joe. Is there was one episode in the first season of Clone Wars when Yoda is fighting in a lost battle, basically, with 3 clone troopers, and he's humanizing the clone troopers. He's asking them what their specialties are, and he knows that each of them have gifts, even though they're just clones.
Mhm.
I felt that was a really good step for the series to make, as far as, like, even though the clones all look the same, they have like little tattoos or haircuts that change them. That was a good step. That's what I wanted to say about episode 7 is, if I don't see a clone shot or a droid cut in half, I want to see a lightsaber cut through a human hand or an alien hand. I want to see, like, these are dramatic, like, basically the droids and the clones cheapened the battles,
They're fodder.
and the Gungans for that matter. Like, I mean, the Gungans are even more fodder than everything. I mean,
They're primitive weapons.
I think the droids are more entertaining than the Gungans, but
Roger.
yeah. But I feel like that was a really big point. It was like where George Lucas said, we can't be showing humans or human-looking aliens die.
No blood.
we need to make big battles with droids and then clones that we feel no pity for.
Right, we need to dehumanize our victims so that we don't have the feels,
Yeah.
basically.
And that was the great thing is when you see Luke getting his hand cut off, like it's like that hand's gone. Like they don't make like another droid Luke. Like yeah, they made another Luke hand, but like they don't make another droid Luke.
Right.
And when you saw droids being like cut in half down the spine, you don't care down whatever nervous system that droids have running through their head with their tail.
And it would.
But
Hold on a second. I think it wouldn't have been so bad like if it was just the droids because obviously they're mechanical and you can't really do too much personnel. Well, I guess you have C-3PO, etc. But like if they had at least made the clones more human, it would have been a million times better. Like as far
or
as
just not have
balancing it
clones.
out. Yeah.
But the thing is like in episode 4,
They mentioned
we
the Clone
already said
Wars.
love. It was like they mentioned the Clone Wars. It's like son of a bitch. Like it's even more heartbreaking. Like it's just like I fought with your father in the Clone Wars. Like you fought in the Clone Wars? Like yeah, there were a bunch of clones. Oh my God, no.
They were produced in droves and slaughtered in droves.
So you know that the Republic really cares about your individual freedoms. But I think that took a big step into cheapening sort of like what battle meant. And then essentially what they did too is like where Luke gets his hand cut off and then Luke cuts off Darth Vader's hand and it's robotic and it's like, well, that meant something when there's
Yeah.
that element of droidism, I guess, or like robotics in the world. Like the robots meant something. Like that sort of mechanical prowess meant something. That he wasn't human. But now you just have a people that basically are just replicants of humans, and then you have a people that absolutely aren't humans. There wasn't any sort of gray line for the reader to place sides on, or the viewer, I guess. So I don't know. What do we think? So we're does anyone? Let's see. We all said our favorite Star Wars video games of all time on the last podcast. Does anyone want to talk briefly about why they picked their choice?
Mine was just the snow speeder. Getting that cable around was
The video
So
game, The
satisfying.
Snow Speeder.
no. Next person.
I said Return of the Jedi on the Game Boy. Just remembering it, the graphics, just Game Boy graphics, but like it followed the story to the letter, but also like just expanded on like give you more to do in between. You start off going to Jabba's palace like as Luke and
Right,
simple
but Jabba's
controls.
palace wasn't that hallway. It was like a platforming
Exactly.
segment. Like it was like
The whole game
I have
was
to jump
walking
up
through
at stories.
starting
Like
by walking through the deserts of Tatooine, right? And
oh yeah.
it's so simple. Like you have A is jump, B is attack. So whether you have a lightsaber character who is just better usually,
It
because
also had like thermal detonators and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And like your little boss fights, but like just such a like easy to pick up. You got your movement, your jump, and your attack, and like no matter what character you are, but then you also like you get to pick it. I think it's like you get to like I forget how it went. Like you either got to pick a character, or you just like each section had a certain
You got to
character.
pick a
that, like,
character at specific junctures, but other than that, you played the main character. One
That is
thing that I did,
really
you know what it felt a lot like, Chris, looking back on it, was the character was actually really big on the screen. Especially, I mean, it's a Game Boy screen. The character was really big on the screen. And they wanted to do that detail, I guess, but it felt very much like some of the old Metroids.
Yeah.
Because Samus was actually really big on the screen, and then the screen actually moved based to put her in
yeah.
frame,
I see.
right? So
Yeah.
you would actually like explore more of the world, feeling like almost gigantic.
And then they
Game,
had,
yeah.
and then they had the ship portions too.
Oh yeah,
Like,
those were really good. Those were the
like,
best
I remember
part.
the land or not the speeder bike on Endor.
Yeah,
Like that was tough, but it was
That was
so
a-
fun. Like you just
yeah.
basically-
Well, and then
Oh,
and then they did 3D graphics, guys, like a
On a
3D
Game
set
Boy, watching a
graphics
segment, basically
on
going
blowing
forward in the
up the
screen.
second Death Star as the Millennium
Millennium
Falcon. It
Falcon,
was
yeah.
absolutely incredible. Like
You had to
really,
like
really,
turn it to fit in different gaps and
yeah,
stuff. Like
yeah. You would
That's
need
what
to
she
rotate.
said. Sorry, I'm sorry.
It's true.
that's what
Uh,
she said. Okay.
yeah, it was a pretty good game. I feel like I still have somewhere. I do want to check on that, but Knights of the Old Republic, I do feel like it goes without saying, like, this took the Star Wars story. This felt more Star Wars than anything that we had felt, the fans had felt in about like 5 or 6 years. And plus, it explored a new realm of Star Wars that everyone had imagined and it had been hinted at, but nobody got to experience it. And rather than experience it in a show or a book, they got to play it as a role-playing game. And the choices that you got to make were great. You kind of had the simple like D&D kind of classic role-playing thing, strength, constitution, intelligence, dexterity, kind of those things. But the story in that game and the characters in that game were like the most well thought out and most well realized characters like you've seen. Like you meet Bastilla Shan, and everyone like that has played those games or played Knights of the Old or like the Old Republic knows Bastilla Shan. Like absolutely badass. Uh, 41, no, 47, no, shoot, HK-47,
Yes, the
right?
assassin.
The assassin
Yeah,
droid that was like the predecessor to the IG-88 or the IG droids.
yeah, that guy is
Amazing.
very good.
Like just the character writing is absolutely incredible. And then also it had some of like it basically plops you into an amnesia situation. It has the
Yes.
biggest like plot reveal that like you could have imagined. That like at the end of that game there was no like Knights of the Old Republic 2, but you were like, oh my, like you didn't need one, but you're like, oh my god, just make another game
Yeah.
because I just want to know where this world. I mean, it's the graphics are outdated, absolutely, but it's on Steam. You should take the time to play that if you're a Star Wars fan, because even I revisited it like and played 2 hours of it. The little story elements and everything are absolutely phenomenal. Like NPCs that you meet that aren't even part of your ship's crew, like their stories are compelling. Like it's what you want a Dungeons and Dragons franchise to feel like or not a franchise, but like a game that you would play. Like it was true role playing, not so much in that you were role playing your character, but you were playing a game in a world, and it was immersive. Absolutely.
I felt like Old Republic did that pretty dang well too.
They did it. They did it well, but to have a lot of those MMO trappings
Yes,
in the
exactly
game,
right.
uh, I did feel like it hindered it.
Mhm. It was too ambitious, I think.
It was a good game.
Yeah.
I don't have time for it anymore. Um, I would rather play Knights of the Old Republic. Um, Alex, you mentioned a game. What did you like about that game?
Oh, well, I had Battlefront before, but I want to change my answer. I'm gonna switch to
I know
Star
what you're gonna
Wars.
say. I think. Go ahead.
What?
No, go.
I was gonna switch to this game called Star Wars Arcade Trilogy.
Oh God, it was so good.
That
It was
game,
in the arcade.
I
Oh God,
spent
it was so good.
tokens and cash on this game there, and I don't think I've ever beaten the whole entire game.
I don't think I have either.
But it
But the
was an
brilliant thing
awesome
about it
game.
was you could play which movie you wanted to do.
Right.
You could pick one, two, or I'm sorry, 4, 5, or 6, and then like if you got to the end of a level, you could actually like it was played with a joystick.
Yeah.
So you could actually fight Boba Fett or Darth Vader by using your joystick as a lightsaber.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. It was
So
such a
that
good movie. That was
that is
such a good
my
pick,
favorite
Alex.
one. That's my favorite one,
You can
and
still find them around too. Like
takes a
Yeah.
little digging, but it's worth it.
dude, I gotta buy one of those. Can we collectively like put out? Can we
Crowdfund
send
it.
probe droids around? Yeah, around Earth and see if we can find one of those.
I can pick one up on eBay. I'm the master.
All right, find one of those, Miles.
Um, my favorite Star Wars game to watch ever was the one that you and Adam and Kevin played in freshman year of college. I have no idea what it's called. With the lightsaber fighting.
Oh God,
That
it
was
was
episode
called the
3.
Clone Wars, right?
That was episode 3.
No, 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 no. No, I know what you're talking about. It's called
How do you know what he's talking about?
because I know, I already know. It was where you would run around as the different Jedi in like an action adventure game.
No, this was like a
No,
fighting.
This is cool.
Oh.
And that's episode 3.
Star Wars
Episode 3.
That was
Champions
hilarious.
or something.
Because just watching you guys like.
It was a fighting game.
It was it was a fighting game. Well, the Versus was a fighting game, so it was.
It was called Star Wars Masters of Terras Kasi.
I don't think so.
No, it was. I know it. I know it. It's
I
happening.
don't think
I'm gonna
so.
check right now.
Was it on PlayStation?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
PlayStation
called
3.
Star Wars Masters of Terras Kasi. Oh, not PlayStation 3. No.
No, not PlayStation 3.
No, the PlayStation.
That was for PlayStation 2.
It was a fighting game.
I don't know what it was for. I'm just saying words now.
And then they had the Star Wars game. It was like the episode 1 action game. It was like an action game. It was I think it was literally called Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace. No. No, it's called Jedi. Damn it. Ah! This is riveting listening. But the fighting game was Masters of Terras Kasi. I remember that.
No,
We'll come back to it, but I mean,
you come back. I'm gonna keep looking.
as far as like all the good Star Wars games, there was like the Jedi Knight games. Yeah, anyone play those?
I didn't really play much of any Star Wars game. That's why I
It's
only
like
had the really dated one.
It's like a third-person like action game where you played a Jedi, and then they also had Jedi Academy, where basically you would build a. I mean, that game was really exciting for me because you would basically build a Jedi from scratch. Choose their lightsaber color. Oh, that was cool. And then you'd also
That's what I liked about Old Republic, or Knights of the
choo-
Old Republic.
you'd choose their race, and then you would play an action game, like a story game, full out. Well, now I wanna look up the list, but it's like, eh. Let's see. Phantom Menace. Is it? Oh yeah. Okay,
I get
there
a
were
feeling
so
he just
many.
happened across a
Screen
Bastille
capture it.
Sean
There were
lead.
so many good games. Okay, first, yeah. Let's see. So let's go back. So I want to do Super Star Wars, Star Wars Arcade, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi on the Game Boy, which is what we talked about. Now, Phantom Menace came to a bunch of different, came in a bunch of different forms. But the one I'm thinking of is the one that I really loved was Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles.
Oh yeah. I have
Is that
game.
what it was?
Do you remember that? Oh, and it actually came out for the Game Boy Advance, which was actually really, really good. It was first released for the PlayStation, afterwards for the Dreamcast. It's basically you choose all these badass Jedis,
Miles,
like,
was it
and
this one?
you just fight through.
Hold on, you have to talk to.
Oh, okay, hold on.
That might be it. But you can like throw your lightsabers and crap, and yeah, That looked right
This
there.
one.
Yeah.
Episode 3.
Yeah. That game was so
You piece of
ridiculous.
chicken.
It would be this weird like mind game. Like you'd see both like whoever was playing at the time. Oh, tease it, tease it. Is he gonna throw his lightsaber? Huh? Is he gonna do a force push? It was like you get down to like the first like couple seconds would be like all out brawling, and then when it got down to that little sliver of health, they both just went to like the furthest sides of the map, and they were just like, oh, and it was
So to review before we call this long episode quits, we had all the X-Wing titles, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. We had, those are really old ones on Windows, 1997. Rebel Assault, which were also DOS and Mac, and then also Rebel Assault 2 came out on PlayStation. And the Jedi Knight games, which were out like basically on everything. Windows, Mac, Xbox, and GameCube. Jedi Outcast was on. So I had the Rogue Squadron games, which came out on N64 and Windows simultaneously, and then Rogue Leader, and then also Rebel Strike, which were both on GameCube. You had Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, which was on N64, and that's the pod racing game. And then Super Bombad Racing was the Mario Kart version on PlayStation 2.
I do not remember that even a little bit.
With Jar Jar Binks obviously as the titular.
That sounds really, really, really bad.
That's correct though. He had Star Wars Starfighter, which basically was Jedi Starfighters with their new ships after Episode 1 and 2. That was on Xbox and PlayStation 2. Star Wars Galaxies was the Windows RTS version, which is also really good. A little outdated, it shows its age, but it's very good. They had a bunch of expansions. Knights of the Old Republic came after that, and then following that was all the Battlefront. And then we saw Lego Star Wars. We saw The Force Unleashed after that. And then all we've had after that is Star Wars Pinball. So it's about time for a new Star Wars game, which is why I'm really excited for the Amy Hennig Dead Space studio to do something awesome. So
Tickle my. How do you say this?
fancy,
There you go.
tickle my fancy. Well, tonight's been a spectacular, long adventure with the motley crew of a few members of the Gamer Den, one coming in late.
Just a thought before we part about the new series of Star Wars movies. You have 3 movies about Anakin, 3 movies about Luke. I would not be surprised if the next 3 movies are about a new next generation of either Skywalker or Solo. I would not be surprised.
She's so wise.
Welcome to the rest of the internet, Joe.
Hey, just
Your
saying.
powers of deduction. Yeah, I would absolutely expect to see something like that. Yeah, I'm fully expecting to see. Okay, so essentially, like the idea in the EU was Luke Skywalker had relations with Mara Jade, I believe, the Emperor's hand, and had kids in one universe at least. Then obviously Solo and Leia. Han and Leia's kids went on in the extended universe to become Jedi. Jason and Jaina?
Jaina versus.
Jaina. Mama Jaina. And so I would expect to see some sort of iteration on that where we have the offspring of these kids essentially using the midichlorians to defeat evil.
The middle chlorians? Is that like the middle class?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we have a bourgeois chlorians too, right?
The underdogs.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, thanks for listening tonight to the Gamer Den video game podcast. We're honored that you've listened and hope to see you next week. On behalf of the Gamer Den, Chris, Joe, Miles, Alex, and myself, happy gaming and a good week to you.
Mucho gusto.